Here at the Giver Marketing Network, we don't leave you drifting out in space. We connect you to a coach who will help you build and grow your marketing business. Our process acts as a guide on how to connect with other businesses, maintain good relations, and establish a presence on the Giver Marketing Network. Each member within this collaborative group will have the opportunity to leverage your talent and influence, a true network effect. If you are looking to collaborate on more projects, welcome to the Giver Marketing Network, the most trusted and highest rated collective of specialists on the planet. Here we have a group of like-minded professionals who focus on making valuable introductions and helping each other grow by teaming up. Imagine Upwork meets a network and a coach. The talent collectively includes services like visibility and SEO, creating logos, designing websites, managing social media, outreach messaging, visual storytelling, and much more. Think of what you could do with laser-focused allies, strengthening your business while offering your talent to the entire network. Click near this video for more information.
Howdy, friends, neighbors, associates. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. Welcome to the Giver Marketing Network Masterclass with Tim Salmonson and myself today, just rocking through. Tim is a guest today. He's also part of the Giver Marketing Network. He's a team member. He's a rock star when it comes to brand evangelism. That's the name of his book. That's kind of what he's known for. Noble purpose is kind of a big deal to him. And we want to pull that out from him today and ask him to share with us some of his genius. And we really appreciate you, Tim. And I know that a lot of people want to know a little bit about your story, and you're going to go into that in just a minute. But for all the kingdom warriors out there, all the giver marketing type people out there, all the businesses that have a mission, a cause, a purpose, they have a why that they're trying to develop. This is something you want to pay attention to. So with that, Tim, share with us a little bit of your story. I know you have a few visuals that I'm always excited to see.
Absolutely. So I think I don't know how to pull up the presentation there, but awesome. I am basically a bleeding heart idealist. I grew up, trying to make the world a better place, caring about people on the planet. In 2004, I started a nonprofit. Travel all over the world, just working with community leaders, trying to overcome various forms of poverty, and truly one of the greatest experiences of my life. And I sort of had an epiphany about 10 years ago and realized that that businesses have the financial capital and the human capital to fill in some of the gaps of society if they really think about what their contribution is, what their noble purpose is. So I pivoted, changed gears, started focusing on the marketplace and helping businesses think about, what it means to be a social enterprise. So I help businesses, become profitable, purpose-driven brands. I want to see them attract all kinds of great people and build a brand with a great strategy around how they brand themselves, market themselves, and sell their products and service with a noble purpose. So that's my background. And today I want to share a little bit about my branding blueprint, finding and fulfilling your purpose and identity. It's based on the book that I wrote, as Timothy, as you've already mentioned, called Brand Evangelism, A Leader's Guide to Clarify and Communicate Your Personal and Organizational Purpose. The framework of the book is built on these 5 C's: clarifying your purpose, communicating it, connecting with your audience, making your contribution, and calling them to be a part of your brand, being brand evangelists. And the foundation of those 5 C's is this last one. But I go through, consumer brands. Those are transactional brands. Those are ones that's a one and done. Club brands are, the more loyalty that you demonstrate, the more rewards you get. But if you don't, then there go your rewards. Cult brands, like Apple, Harley Davidson, Coca-Cola. These are hero brands, and we don't ever want to set ourselves up to be the hero. We want to be covenant brands, which is a brand that's committed to mutual success. And really the definition of a covenant is a pact or promise. So we make a pact with our customers, with our staff members, with the people that are within our that are stakeholders. And it's a relationship with a bond. So we want people to know that we're in it for mutual success.
So basically, when you talk about covenant, Tim, you're talking about something deeper than just a sure we'll work together. It's you're in it together, like you're rowing together. There's a mutual commitment that's really high, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, it's partnership. It's looking at the relationships that we have in the marketplace, not as transactions. It's transformation. That's
Got it.
always been it's not original. There's a guy also in the space who says, focus on transformation, not transaction. And that's how you can build these covenant relationships. So
Say that in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Transformation, not transaction. That's brilliant. And for those who have questions as Tim goes along, put them in the comments. Take notes in the comments. It's a great way for others to learn and process as you're listening. So go ahead, Tim.
So I created this this Venn diagram, and the convergence of all the circles is our noble purpose. This is Simon Sinek's Start With Why. He has the golden circle. That is, getting to the reason that we do what we do, and it has to be noble. So to define what a noble purpose is, it has to be in service of others, and it has to be something worth sacrificing for, moral and ethical, transformational. We want what our noble purpose is to be bettering people on the planet, and it has to have sustainability in mind. We're thinking about the future. We're thinking about eternity, quite honestly. So that's a framework that you can use as you're thinking about, hey, what is my noble purpose? So here's the big mess of the what it means to be branding, marketing, and selling with noble purpose. It's this virtuous cycle that we're creating. Connecting in my world is branding. It's the way that we think back in high school, for example. You've got the different cliques. You got your jocks, and back in our day, Timothy, it was the preps who flipped their shirts up.
Yep, you're bringing me back, buddy. I like this.
The goths, you had the gothic people who kind of painted their face white, and I think they have emos nowadays.
Special time. I like it.
But you kind of knew, who the clique was, because they had these shared values and this shared identity, and they were able to come together as a result of that.
Yeah. So every solid group has this, right? I mean, it's part of our design. This is great.
Well, this is a little side note in my mind. This is where Bud Light kind of missed the the target, because they, you think about a group like your preps or your jocks or your goths, and you introduce someone that is totally unlike your group, thinking that you're expanding the market when you're really causing chaos, because people are not identifying in that way. So that's
we don't want to water down our brand, no matter what it is we're doing, right? So it's like watering down beer. Like, why would you do that? Like, it doesn't.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. All right, keep going, Tim. I love it.
So branding, most people think of it as the aesthetic, and I've talked about this in this context before, and Giver. But your aesthetic is just a part of what your brand is. That's, that is your logo, your color scheme, the feel of your brand. The thing that's going to draw your audience are your values. So you start with values, to have 3 to 5 unforgettable, I call them immutable, unchangeable values, that this is what your brand is known for. And you can never compromise those values, or you break down the trust and break down the virtuous cycle. So values, purpose, vision, that's the transformational message, where your audience is and where you're taking them to. Your mission, that's how you're getting them there. So having all those things in place is super important. I think people underestimate the power of having a purpose and communicating that purpose out into the world. So that's your connection point. That's branding. Marketing, that's your contribution. Once again, people think of marketing as just kind of, I'm going to flood the market with information about my product or service, hoping that it sticks to somebody. And that's the last thing you want to do, because you're trying to build a community, build a tribe around a set of values and a purpose that people can get excited about, people want to be a part of, people want to connect to.
Is this why people equate marketing with like spamming or like bothering people? Is that why? Because they're missing some of these pieces, Tim?
Exactly. I know that you've mentioned in the past, Timothy, Seth Godin's permission marketing, and I just, every time I get a phone call from a telemarketer, I just want to explain to them, dude, you do not have my permission to call me. I have, I want to have a relationship with the people that I do business with, and you popping up into my LinkedIn feed or calling me out of the blue, interrupting my day, doesn't make me feel connected to you. So be very conscientious of that as you reach out to people. Make sure that you're understanding the needs of the people that you're reaching out to. I think that's mistake number one. And number two, make sure that they know that you actually are just interested in having a relationship and looking for an opportunity to find out if there's a way that you might be able to work together. That's the best approach. So creating value for them, that's how you build the trust. Making sure that you are thinking about the larger goals and the community that you're trying to build as you reach out to people. So like-minded people. So to me, that's what marketing is all about. And then
Classy
ultimately,
marketing, my friends. Listen closely. This is classy marketing insight. Love it.
and then ultimately, you've got to, if you're ever going to have brand evangelists, you have to make the ask. You have to invite people to have that call to action. Say, hey, listen, I've invested a lot into this relationship, and I think I understand what your needs are. And I think that I've demonstrated value for you. Now, what I want you to do is come and be a part of my tribe, be a part of my community. And then ultimately, the thing that where there's a little bit of a breakdown in the Venn diagram is in the middles, where the circles connect. There's character, competence, and communication, and these actually need to be a part of the whole package. Each of these characteristics, these qualities, need to be connected in your connection, in your branding, in your marketing, in your sales, so that you're maintaining that trust. The trust is what's holding it all together, and the trust is what's going to help someone believe in you and then become your brand evangelist and then share their experience with somebody else. That obviously is, it's like
This
the
is like the
flywheel.
cycle of awesomeness right here for any brand, whether you're a nonprofit, for profit, you're a community leader, a public speaker, any kind of entity or brand that you need to take to another level, ladies and gentlemen. This is it right here. This is like branding 101 that leads to a, a real like a real community that might be willing to share a little bit more about you. And then at that point, really the sale is just the ask. It's just how much, when do you want to work together? It's not why would we not work together? It's almost like a question of like, why aren't we working together already? That kind of thing. So I love this. It's just very straightforward, Tim. It's really good.
Mm-hmm. So brands that reflect these kind of values are like Patagonia. Everybody knows that Patagonia is all about the environment. Tom's shoes, they care about people who don't have shoes. So when you buy a pair, they give a pair to someone who
Yeah.
doesn't have shoes. Chick-fil-A obviously has a very strong set of values, and they don't open on Sundays, and they have built an ethos around a team, and
Mhm.
obviously a care and consideration for their clients, the people
And
that
they
they're.
don't move. These companies don't move on their values, like you said earlier. Like
That's right.
I mean, they'll move out of a out of a region if they have to, like to keep their values
That's right.
like
That's
set.
right.
So this is good examples.
So back to the points in which our wheel, our Venn diagram are connecting. The character competence and communication pieces are super important. And recently I was watching a video from Myron Golden. Now, if you don't know Myron, he is amazing. I mean, talk about a values-driven brand guy, brand marketing, sales. He's probably a salesman above all, but I have just been addicted to everything Myron these days. But he talks about you have to have the right mindset, in addition, the skill set, and then the tool set.
All right, write that down, ladies and gentlemen. Some version of what you see on the screen, write that down, because this right here is getting into the deeper parts of the conversation. This is where the Venn diagram kind of starts squeezing you in a good way, right into that why. This is so good.
Mm-hmm. So what does it mean to have the right mindset? Because I think that we are the biggest obstacles to our own success. I don't think anyone would, admit or deny that, I guess. The truth is that if we have the right mindset and we have a clear, for one, a definition of what success means to us, then we'll have an idea of when we're successful, what that looks like. If we don't define it and we think, well, being successful is like Myron Golden or Simon Sinek or anyone in your industry that you admire, and you think, well, they're successful, but what makes them successful? Is it the number of people that follow them? Is it the amount of money that they make? Is it the kind of lifestyle that they have? There are a whole number of things that will help us, based on our own values, determine what success means to us. So that's important. Make sure that you're in touch with I call it the divine parts of yourself. That's about intuition. That's a sensitivity to the people and the things that are happening in your life. It's knowing that you're moving in the right direction or not moving in the right direction. So that is a part of our mindset that is going to require us to take time every day. I just recently listened to a book called The 5 a.m. Club. And he talks about the three things we need to do from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. One is for our spiritual well-being, meditation, and checking in with ourselves, checking in with our Creator. Two, make sure that we're learning and growing and being inspired. I'm trying to remember the learning, growing, inspired, and I forget what the third one is right now. Anyway, I don't.
Got to get started right. Those two alone. Start with those two. I like it.
Yeah. So expressing gratitude and appreciation, that I find for myself, it's easy to get bogged down by the struggles of the day, the challenges of the day. And if we focus in on the struggles and the challenges and the disappointments, we'll forget about the things that we can be grateful for, we can be thankful for. Yesterday, Timothy and I were in a mastermind group, and that was part of the check-in. Was, what are the successes and struggles? And I honestly took a second to think, what are the successes that I'm having? And when I thought about it, I was boom, I had like a whole bunch of things just flood my head, and it changed my whole disposition, quite honestly. So being thankful and grateful for the things that you have, the people that you're in your life is important. Of course, taking action leads to failure or success, which leads to learning, hopefully, which then leads to ultimate success. So obviously action is a vital part of having the right mindset, moving in the right direction, and then of course taking responsibility for your action. Don't blame anyone. Just learn, grow, and move on.
I love it. I love it. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to the recording or you're live with us today, put something in the comments that you're either learning or you've taken action on recently. You're either learning or you're taking action on recently. We want to hear, we want to celebrate with you. We want to have those success stories, kind of like programming us to think about the things that we're thankful for, that we're appreciative of. I mean, just moving the needle a little bit. That's where celebrating together. That's part of why we're here. So we can do that. So let's take some action on the action challenge right there. So let us know what you're learning or what you've taken action on that you want to celebrate with us.
Absolutely. So the next addition to the mindset is a skill set, and this is where competency is super important, because we're trying to establish authority with the people that we're doing business with. They need to believe that we're able to take them from where they are to where they want to be, to have what they want to have, to do what they want to do. So this is where our own commitment to our personal development, mastery of our skills is going to elevate not only how we show up in the world, but the return that we get in the world. So the amount of value that we're able to create for others. So I would say for most people, unlike, that cousin Willie who, just is just knocking it out of the park with this new MLM, program that he's a part of. Don't join the next MLM program because you know someone that's making a lot of money. Think about what it is that you're good at, what skills you have and what your aptitudes are before you make any moves towards trying to provide a service for someone, because that will, one, it'll be easier for you if you have the skills and aptitudes, and two, it'll be something you enjoy. So that's a super important one. Establish your purpose. I was, before we got on, I was telling Timothy, I was looking at Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours. And he says it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at something, to develop expertise in a specific area. And kind of linked to that article I saw, it's actually not about the hours. It's about positioning yourself in a way that you're learning at maximum capacity. And one of the ways that motivates us to learn is a sense of purpose. I think about when I wanted to learn Spanish, I needed a reason. So I moved to Mexico, and I moved in and lived with a Mexican family for 7 months. And believe me, I needed to learn Spanish if I was going to be able to interact and communicate with this family and this community. So that gave me a reason to really take a deep dive into learning Spanish. So if we don't have a purpose, we don't have a real understanding of why we're doing what we're doing, it's easy to lose our motivation in that area. So
Do you think productivity is connected to purpose?
I think, yeah, I think as long as we understand, have a vision for why we're doing what we're doing now,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to look to the future and seeing how the work that we're doing now is going to help us to fulfill a greater purpose, whether it's time or treasure. There are a whole bunch of things, but the most important thing is it can't be can't be about yourself, just you.
So an external purpose can be an extraordinary motivator, is what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And productivity is different than activity, right? You can have some activity that is productive, but then you can have other activity that's not so productive. But purpose is non-negotiable in your book, is what I'm hearing. Like literally in your book and then figuratively in your book.
Yeah.
Like purpose has to be the center, kind of like the Simon Sinek, like start with why, start with your purpose, start with that kind of a thing. And I know that these influences have shaped, a little bit of how we do what we do in marketing and in our businesses. And I love that you pull that out, that like, don't even think about going too much further without a purpose. Like you need a noble purpose of some kind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think about Daniel Pink. He says that the three things that are the most that inspire people for intrinsic motivation as opposed to extrinsic motivation is the carrot, the stick. It's the, what makes us feel good or what hurts us, the pain or pleasure. Intrinsic motivation is self-motivation. It's what drives us, what gets us out of the bed in the morning. When we have autonomy, when we know we can make decisions on our own, that's an important part of it. When we have a sense of purpose, that's an important part of that intrinsic motivation. And when we have mastery, which is kind of very reflective of what we're talking about today, when you become super good at something, it builds confidence. It's part of what we're known for. When we're good at speaking another language, or good at graphic arts, or good at building websites, or SEO, or whatever your thing is, when you're getting results and people's lives are improving and getting better, businesses are growing as a result of your mastery of something, I mean, that is only going to fill your soul and make you feel better. And obviously you're going to be compensated more. So
what I'm hearing you say is find your purpose, ladies and gentlemen. And if you have any questions, you can talk to Tim Salmonson, of course. Look him up on all the social media outlets and all that, and he'll have some information here in a few minutes. But I'm challenging everyone. Reach out to Tim or dig deeper into your purpose at the very least, and find out not just why you're doing what you're doing, but like how that's gonna, kind of affect the world, like in a bigger sense, not just the surface level why, the deeper level why, which is what Tim uncovers. I love it.
So setting goals and celebrating when you achieve them is also important. There was another thing when I was looking at the Malcolm Gladwell piece, is our emotions are tied with the way that we wire our brains. And if we have a mini celebration and, check comes in the mail and we celebrate, we tell our brains, hey, this is something that we want to see more of. When we achieve a goal, when we accomplish something, or when we don't do something that we told ourselves we weren't going to do, have a mini celebration. And that will just help to create the synapses in our brain that remind us, yes, this makes me feel good. When I turn all the TV and all the apparatus down at 8:00, that's been my goal. 8:00, I'm going to shut things down and I'm going to start making my way towards decompressing for the day, thinking about tomorrow, and preparing for bed. So stay focused. It's number 4. Stop chasing the shiny objects, which has been a terrible problem of mine. I know whatever new fangled thing comes along, I want to know about it. I want to learn. I want to see if I need to buy it or use it, or I love input and information. So this is a challenge for me to stay focused on the main goal, going in this one direction. I know, Timothy, you mentioned that you had some thoughts about this.
Yeah, I think just staying focused on, there's a book called The One Thing, and there's a few others that Michael Hyatt has some work around. I think focus is part of the title of his book even. And these kind of disciplines, if you will, in our modern era of a lot of information coming at us. Ladies and gentlemen, information is not enough. Tim will be the first one to tell you, like he said earlier, transformation is where you want to take that information, apply it for transformation. And that's where this hyper focus on at least, some of the main things in your life. I mean, just the tip you gave, Tim, about shutting things down a little earlier, like 1 hour earlier, 2 hours earlier. Gosh, your brain could rest, and then you could hyper focus the next morning. Get up early the next morning if you need to, like just shut it down a little earlier. Like whatever, depending on your kind of sleep rhythm, just whatever it takes to get you focused. I love this point. I just think it needs to be a gentle reminder for me, and I'm learning. I'm learning all the time. When I'm, you and I are talking, I always learn something. This is amazing.
So, and then finally, get instruction. Try to model someone who is achieving the success that you want to achieve. Now, Timothy mentioned before we got on, it's one thing to follow someone who calls himself a master, and is like the Wizard of Oz, is, pulling the sticks behind, and there's lots of fire and smoke, and, well, this guy is impressive. But, when you come to find out that they're really not all that impressive, because they're not really getting the results that you want to have in your life. So find a master, someone that hopefully who can speak into your life. That's an ideal person. If not, we have heroes that, we can learn from and grow from, and be connected to, that maybe are not that accessible, but still, as long as they share your values. This would be something that I've been learning the last few years, is there are a lot of people that were my heroes, and I thought they were my heroes because of the ways that they were impacting the industry or the market, or the way they were influencing. But when I found out kind of what their values were, I realized we're probably not going to be moving down the same path. I'm not going to be moving down the same path as them, because we don't share those values. So to me, that's super important to make sure you align with the people who share your values. So whatever that's worth.
Love it. And you have a free gift that you're giving away here. It's a free course. Can you tell us
Yeah,
a little bit more about that, just kind of as we're going along here?
yeah, sure. So I've just recently been partnering with it's a brand new relationship, and it ties into the tool set. So my first mini course of my learning this platform, I was able to put together this mini course, and it's just an overview of the book. It has questions that you find also in the book that are downloadable PDFs. It's fairly short. I mean, I don't talk more than 5 minutes, so it's not me droning on about clarity or communication or connection. Um, but it does have some tools that I think might be really helpful. So I think that there's my link, the one that you see scrolling there, has my contact information, my LinkedIn, um, my LinkedIn link, I guess. The free course is there, the website's there. So feel free to check that out. And of course, just contact me if you have any questions and want to know more about the course or this platform, which as a tool set, that's the final thing. What I think most businesses need to think about is you got to have a website, landing pages, should be blogging. E-commerce is also part of, making sure that you're able to get payments online. People want as few barriers to getting the things that you have to offer as possible. So if you can systematize this, it eliminates a lot of those barriers between you and your customers getting the products or service that you have to offer. So this also has an e-learning course creation component. This e-business card thing, Linktree, whatever you want to call it, that's also integrated, has all the CRM services. So once again, this is like an automated money-making machine. If you have an irresistible offer, you have an offer that's good enough, interesting enough for people to come, give you their email, boom, all of a sudden they're in your system. Email campaigns, SMS campaigns, that's text messaging, calendar. You don't need a Calendly account anymore. Calendar's integrated, has all the lead tracking for different potential clients, your leads, notes and follow-up, and then other things like invoicing, integrating other apps into the software. You can have a dedicated phone number, so you're not giving out your personal phone number to everybody, which I know can be a problem. It records calls, has metrics tracking, and you can have any number of team members join you. So I think this Friday, I'm gonna kind of roll out what I've been learning, and if you want to contact me and learn more about that, then I'd be happy to invite you in. It's not going to be open to the public. Just I want to work with a couple people to kind of go through this. So
Love it. Love it. So it looks like you have a suite here and some partners and some team members that you've put together. You're kind of the brand, skilled genius in the room that's helping people pull out their purpose, their why at a deeper level. I know you're a person of faith, so you kind of incorporate a little bit of that just to make sure that we're covered with in all aspects of kind of your true deepest identity-based value set. And then you release these other like done for you or done with you type services so that
Right.
you can package that up for your audience. And
Yep.
ladies and gentlemen, think about this. It's not enough to just make a bunch of money. But if you do this and people understand your purpose, they will align with you. You'll end up with the right clients, customers, and associates, and you will make a lot of money because all money is certificates of appreciation. So at the end of the day, if you have an alignment like Tim's talking about with the people you're working with, you will get lots of certificates of appreciation and alignment. And so that's the goal here, is to make sure that you're sustainable in what you're doing. And Tim has the goods, the special sauce to put on this so that it's not just your generic run of the mill brand. It pops. It rises to the surface. It's the cream of the crop. It's something you want to be proud of. I don't know how many times I've talked with you and I have talked with clients, Tim, where the brand just got stale. We need to go back to the core. We need to go back to the values. We need to reinvigorate that brand. And if that's you, or if you know somebody, make sure they connect with Tim Salmonson. And the special link there on the screen is where you want to get your gift, your course, and take that journey and enhance that. And you'll be glad you did. So really appreciate that. Tim, are you ready for the hot seat? Is that something you're excited about? Are you
I
interested?
am. I'm excited. I love it.
All right.
Bring it
All
on.
right. Christine, get some of the team members in here and let's see what we can do to get everybody on video and ask some questions. Let's start with you and me. And then as others are able to pop in, we also have some questions that came through on social feeds. Christine, can you lead this part of our conversation today? That'd be great.
Okay, I'm going through the notes right now and I'm seeing, we've got transformation, not transaction, which I love. I just got to say, Tim, that's what it's all about, building those relationships. And that's one of the great things about having Tim speak is he really has that heart like we do at Giver Marketing. So I love that. Let's see. Questions would include, can you share the slides? So if somebody wants access to your slides, they like your presentation so much they want access to the slides.
Of course.
Well, so
just
once
reach
again,
out to
click
you
on that
or-
link, reach out to Tim and say, can I pretty please have a copy of your slides? I love what you had to say, right?
Yeah.
That's a great way to do that. Let's see, what else do we have going on? Gosh, people are putting in notes about things they really loved about it. Like they're talking about how much your advice, get your head straight. Something we can totally relate to. I love that. We've got so many, you were really pulling out a bunch of thoughts in people's heads here. Oh my goodness. So love, serve, and grow what they're looking for. Talking about the importance of establishing processes. They were getting a lot out of what you were saying today. We've also got bringing value into the marketplace. So there's some key ideas that you planted in people's minds today. I love that, Tim. So somebody else was talking about how to build my brand awareness, creating my client avatar, stronger direction, the path that will help me get my brand going.
That's a good question. I saw this pop up too, and I was waiting for this moment to kind of that Christine would unveil this, and super excited to kind of can you address this, Tim?
Yeah, sure. When it comes to building brand awareness, a lot of it is the consistency of getting your messaging out there. I've been working with a number of coaches, and that consistency is super important because it's the way that you're communicating your values out into the world. So depending on your brand, if you have a video platform, building a YouTube channel is fantastic. If you're more of a writer, have a blog, make sure you're posting on your social media channels. And it's helpful to have like a what's it called? Your social media marketing platform, the Buffer and the Hootsuite, and which is also integrated in this platform that I'm learning about. But yeah, to be able to disseminate and share your message and make your contribution in the various communities that you're part of. That to me has been the most important thing, is finding people who are like me, share my values, getting involved in their community, and then doing what I can to create value for the people in that community. That, more than anything, people are impressed with that.
I wonder if we can give some, like, just some basic tips. Like, I'm just thinking, out loud here, but if you want more brand awareness, maybe a good step would be to get brand clarity. And that would be a good thing to talk to Tim about. But once you get brand clarity, then you're going to have the confidence, which you talked about today, of getting yourself out there more consistently. But that doesn't necessarily mean you need to be preachy about it. It's the 80-20 rule, right? So you can ask intelligent questions. You can post humorous, anecdotes, maybe about Budweiser, or just different companies out there, and have some fun with that. And just see if you start attracting the right conversations. And the key, I wonder, in brand awareness is really not just the awareness, but the attractiveness. Like, what are you attracting? Because you can be brand aware, but what part of your audience is actually able to kind of resonate with you? And so I think that's where that brand clarity comes with Tim. So it's a good question, but it begs a second question: is where are you as far as attracting the right people while you're getting the word out? And I love that Tim went through a lot of that today. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think Patrick had a question about finding your tribe, finding your people. Is that right, Patrick? And I think that can be a challenge sometimes, right? Because you want to hang out with the people that have that same kind of vibe, that same values. And sometimes you don't realize until you kind of jumped in, you put your toe in a little bit and trying to figure out if this is a group you want to hang out with. Sometimes that's a challenge, I think. Anybody have any ideas on finding your right tribe?
I know for myself, we do an exercise of a stakeholder exercise. So you're thinking about all the people that you have connection with and affiliation with, who support your brand and that you support. I know Patrick, for example, is a traveler, and he has a community of people that he meets and travels with and knows, and a connection there and an understanding that non-travelers wouldn't have. And so they would be stakeholders, people to think about as a part of your brand. But and you kind of you move from your friends, which are pretty easy. Why they're your friends, and I hope that they share your values, because they say that you're going to be a reflection of the 5 closest people, the people you're closest to. So as long as they're amazing, awesome people, you're probably in the right space. But then spread out who the stakeholders are, the people that have some connection with what it is that you do and how you're showing up in the world.
Great advice. Any other tips around that question? I think it's a great conversation starter, Patrick. And do you have any thoughts or things you've been processing through?
Well, for me, giver marketing and, joining with other people in different networking groups and seeing the kind of like subgroups in there. And really, for me, I've been really focused on just kind of hanging out at places and listening, and somebody will have an event, that is just kind of interesting, but then I'll meet some people at that event, and then we'll do a connection through the event and then start chatting and slowly start to build a relationship. And that's how I've been rebranding my business right now.
Okay.
Is doing that.
I like that. And what comes to mind, and maybe Megan, I think you have some um, comments on this as well. But how hard, or how do we make it easy for the right people to connect with us and difficult for the wrong people to connect with us? And I think what you're alluding to, Patrick, is try to get in those rooms where at least you have at least an above 50% chance that there's a few people in that room that you're going to want to follow up with, make it easy for them to connect with you. Whereas maybe the other folks, it's like, it's not the right time. Like, we're just not aligned right now. Like, it's just not a thing that we're going to probably spend time on right now. I mean, maybe have a quick chat, but beyond that, nothing too serious. Any thoughts on that, Christine or Megan Nathan?
Can I touch on that really quick? Is that's what I mean, is you go and you kind of just chatting around and you get a feel for who that other person is.
Okay.
Take that to the next step and then have a short meeting and just kind of, how can I help you? Who are you? Let's get to know each other. Not trying to sell anything, just build the relationship.
Yeah, Christine, you're a networker. I mean, some call you
brand clarity. Tim hit it on the head when he was talking about brand clarity. I mean, really, when you think about it, if you're clear and on point with your brand, you're going to attract those kind of people that are your kind of people. If you're not attracting the kind of people that you like, you need to take another look at your brand. You may not be putting out the vibe that you really want to put out. So take a look at it and ask somebody next to you, right? What feelings do you get when you see this? Or when I say this, how do you feel, right? You might need somebody to check you.
One of the biggest traps is trying to be everything to everybody. I mean, I know there's a Bible verse about that in certain contexts, but for a brand, that's the death spiral, is to try to become everything to everybody. So Meganathan, what about your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm thinking about the Venn diagram that Tim put up there. Thank you for the presentation, Tim. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking about people that have almost gone the wrong path. They need to go through the process like Patrick's talking about, a rebranding. What would you suggest is the right path, or how could you assist them with this brand audit to help them get into the right way?
That's a question. Yeah, you start with values. Values is the core of everything. It's the thing that it's the compass, the thing that helps us to know that we're moving in the right place. And the reason that companies get sidetracked or start losing the value of their brand is because they've lost sight of their compass. And the compass is what keeps you on the path. The path is the mission. The vision is the destination. And the purpose is the why. So people need to know why they're on that path going to the destination. And the destination has to look better than where they are. And so helping them, I mean, in simple terms, helping them to clarify, think about, what are your values? Why is it that you do what you do? What's your contribution to your community? How is it, you can put it in terms of your value proposition. That in business terms, is kind of what it is we're talking about. I think more than that, it's your hook. What makes you different than the next person who does the same thing, who says they do the same thing? You need to have a hook, the differentiator from what you do and the next person over. And that's what's going to help you build a brand that's different. If you're a web designer, as you are, and you say, I design websites. Well, so what? There are a million people that design websites. But if you say, I design websites for women in their later years who are trying to create a new business platform. Now all of a sudden, oh, okay, that's not speaking to me, or that is speaking to me. And they know exactly, I need to talk to, Megan Nathan, because he knows my problem. He's working with similar people that have the same problem. And as long as he's demonstrated success in helping those other women, now sign me up. That's why being as specific as possible is super important.
I love it. Specificity. One of the best exercises I've seen, Tim, in just getting our brain moving in this way is to revisit a social media platform and try to get it down as close to that clarity of brand as possible. Even if it's just one you're just kind of experimenting with. Like, let's say it's a Facebook account or something like that, where you're just kind of like, I can play with this a little bit and see how it looks and feels. And then that starts setting up your branding exercises. And then you get Tim Salmonson involved, and he starts saying, hey, what about this? What about this imagery? And how does that reflect? Tell me more about your values. Does that reflect your values? It's not just the words on the page. It's the actual imagery and the words and how people feel. And you're talking about kind of creating experiences. That's the heartbeat of the core of a brand that starts popping, and it starts doing what you're talking about. Great question, Megan Nathan. And I just get really excited when I hang out with Tim, because he starts I'm starting to think, okay, core values and words and language, and it's like always improving, ladies and gentlemen. So don't feel like you have all the answers here coming into a master class. Like, take yourself to another level. This is good. Any other questions, Christine, from you?
Well, I was just thinking I always say stay in your lane, right?
Okay.
Your specificity really has to do with that. So I'm just thinking about when you were talking about organizations and them making sure, does this really fit, right? So do all your services stay in your lane? Do they support your values, right? And I think as entrepreneurs, as you start hiring more people and your business starts growing more, how do you make sure, it may all be in your head, but how do you make sure that your new people coming in understand the values of the corporation and keep everything in alignment, from the top all the way down to the bottom, right? That's
We didn't talk about that. We didn't talk much about that, Tim, how the brand affects the internal communication and in the internal culture and the internal pieces of your business. That's a great question, Christine. Any thoughts on that?
It's in the book. You got to buy the book.
I love it.
Well, so that is an important topic to you, Tim. You've got it in there.
It is.
Awesome. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's scroll that free course there at the bottom there again here, and let's allow people to receive that gift from Tim as a way to help encourage your business your organization to a whole nother level, whether you're a cause or a company doing good in the world, a community leader trying to get the word out about something you're passionate about, you have a mission, you feel like you have a calling or a mission that you need to fulfill. This is where you start. You don't start with the Facebook ads, ladies and gentlemen. That's not where you start. That's a part of the journey. It was even on some of the conversation points today, but this is where you start. I don't know how many times we start backwards in our businesses, especially when it comes to marketing. You start trying to follow up with people that have no idea what you're doing. You start promoting to people that don't even understand why they got an ad from you or a conversation from you. There's no context. You're literally doing it backwards, ladies and gentlemen, in many cases. And I'm speaking to myself too, because I put ads way too early just to see what they would do. And sure enough, I got the same results that almost every one of our clients say, hey, I tried this and it didn't work. Why is that? Why does it work for Joey over here, but not for Susie over here? It's because of what Tim was talking about today. It's all back to the brand.
Right. And he's talking about a profitable, purpose-driven, not just purpose-driven, right? That's all your nonprofits. It's your businesses trying to do good in the world, but profitable. You can put those two words together. Oh my goodness, we love you, Tim. Right?
That's right. Well, even nonprofits, that's a misnomer. There's a ton of revenue coming into those organizations. It's just a matter of whether you can sell that entity or not. It's really at the end of the day. So if you run that nonprofit well, it will be technically high revenue generating.
Run it like a business.
You have a clear purpose, a clear mission. It will change the world, ladies and gentlemen. So especially if you do some of the things that Tim dropped into the room today. So we love it. We love it. Thank you, Tim. And we will see you, ladies and gentlemen. Christine, do you have the link for our little get together happening tomorrow? Our networking?
Tomorrow, our link there, givermarketing.com/networking. So our marketers in the house, feel free to join us tomorrow for networking. And we're going to have a great time. We always do. If you're interested in how to learn how to work with other marketers so that you can increase your business, offer more services, learn how to do white labeling, all that kind of stuff. Let's work together and build the marketing community so we can better help all of our clients. That's really what it's all about, helping others. And of course, next Tuesday, we're back for our next masterclass.
That's right. Tuesdays and Wednesdays. These are the hot days. Love it. Thank you, Kingdom Warriors, for tuning in today. Giver Marketing Network, all those who are listening and watching in live on all the different platforms. It's just a privilege to be able to serve you today. So we'll see you soon. God bless you guys.